Hey everyone, welcome back to whatever this thing is. This time what we're doing is we're turning this, or rather this guy, into the Sage of Six Path mode, Naruto. So what we do first is we take him apart completely. So here's the pieces. Um, I'll do a little review on this later, but okay, so here we have all different pieces. Different faces are elsewhere right now. We'll get to them when we get to them. But first, we need to do things with the body. But since, well, a couple years ago, I made one already from this guy. I just repainted him because I wanted a regular Naruto special because this is the real deal. This guy is a bootleg. So we have this already that I can use, but when we get to that part, I'll talk about how to make this. You can have different like you can just cut this coat in pieces, or pieces to just like halfway, and then you probably need to sculpt more over to here because that is the length that it's supposed to be. But that is all later. Right now, this is prep work mainly. You need to take apart all the pieces. I already started and I forgot I wanted to film this, so let's do it as I'm filming. It's kind of hard to get off. Let's take one catch. Well, let's try the other one. Well, that wasn't easier. And that just got taken apart. Well, it's gonna make it slightly easier for me to just grab. Oh no. Grab. Oh, it's completely frozen in there. Probably shouldn't have done that. I can fix it. I'll do it later. So, because he has all this sculpting that, on him with the shirt that he wore, with the sweatshirt and the zipper, we're gonna have to either sand it off with the Dremel, like very lightly, because it's just it's not a lot to do, or just go here with a scalpel or what it's called, just a fine sharp knife, a hobby knife, an X-Acto blade. Yeah, exactly, that's the word I was looking for. And just like shave all the sculpted lines off, because the design is more of a like one piece suit, rather than a sweatshirt. So it's gonna need to be like completely clean, completely flat, and then what we'll do is paint it all black, all the orange part black, all the black parts yellow. I'm gonna either completely sculpt a new head, or just cut off these bangs here and sculpt ones that go taller than that and just go upward like it's supposed to be. But yeah, that is what we're doing right now. Problem with the bootleg is that this little cuff like a cap piece here for the shoulder is a little too big, because they kind of downscaled the figure a little bit, but not this part, and they used the same one for the code, just painted it black and put it for the regular one. You shouldn't have done that. It should have been smaller. I can try and maybe cut this so it'll be shorter, but then it won't completely cover the joint. It's just what they've done with this, the way they designed it. It's bad because they kind of changed a lot of things with SH figures. Usually this top of the torso is like two-piece, so let's take like, here's a body coon right here. There's a seam line here. This is hard plastic. Usually the abdomen is more of a softer plastic, a one piece with the joint just slid through it, but the top part is two-piece shell on top of all their design on the engineering inside. This one is more like Figma than just a solid piece of plastic with a hole inside for the shoulder joint. That is very similar to a Figma joint anyways. Yeah, so whoever are doing the Naruto bootlegs, I guess they have a couple companies, because this one is really similar to how the Jirai I just reviewed is, and how the Madara is. But then you have Kakashi that I reviewed as well, and he's almost exactly like the original. They didn't change any joint, they didn't do anything really, they just made it cheaper. Yeah, so back to what we're doing. I'm not gonna do this all on camera. I should probably just end right now with this section and just come back when I'm done. But that's what you should do in the beginning. Just cut not cut, just shave off all the pieces that show that this is not a one-piece suit thing. If you just Google Sage of Six Path Mode Naruto, or just look in some video game, the design is it's very clear what it should look like. So yeah, I'll come back when I'm done with this, and we'll see what's next later. Hey, so welcome back to this. So little update. I have successfully removed all the like sculpted detail that would imply that this is his tracksuit or whatever this is that he's wearing. I had a lot of work here with the bandage and the holster that he has. Yeah. So pretty much after that, you just paint all the orange part black. You don't have to touch the arms at all if you're not sculpting on top of them, like I won't be doing it because I already have this. And if you're going to make actual cloth one, then again you wouldn't need to touch the arms at all. The only problem here that I'm not sure how I'm gonna work out is the joints. I'll have to paint them because, I mean, they're all orange, and even those that are black are just painted black. They're orange underneath. Yeah. So that is a thing. Oh, I forgot to finish removing here. I'll do that and then I'll go into painting the black parts. The head will do at the very last because there's a lot of work that I'll need to do there. There's some cleanup work on the chins and like the faces because they have all this mold part, like mold excess plastic that they have, and they don't normally just fit right in because they're bootlegs. And I might need to sculpt an entirely new head. I'm not sure how I'm gonna work that with that, but that's a bridge we'll get to when we'll get to it. Yeah. So let's get to finishing off with cleanup and then we'll get to painting. Alright, so cleanup work is done on everything. For the most part. So now what we're gonna have to do, I guess we'll start with the torso, is to paint it black completely. Let's hope this isn't dry. Haven't used it in a long time. It's almost empty too. But we're gonna need very, very black, like nothing grayish. I thought this would work, but no, we need an absolute black and an assortment of brushes, but those will come later on. It doesn't matter what brush we are using now because we're just doing everything. So basically just paint it all black, like everything. The entire torso, the entire pants, and the sandals and headband would need to be yellow. When you're doing customs or whatever, it's really good to have like references, or actually when you're doing any form of art you should have plenty of references all around, like because it's Sage mode Naruto, it's Sage of 6-path mode, like you'd think maybe he has the lines around his eyes, he doesn't in this specific mode. Some people could mistake that, or the shades, like you can tell at the beginning when I made it, the first one, I didn't do the slightly darker orange outline to make it look like it's kind of glowing, kind of like fire or whatever. Yeah, which I guess you don't really have to, but you kind of want to. And here, like you can see with this Nendoroid, they did do that. Just give it more variance in the paint is a very good thing that you want. Yeah, and because he's kind of sort of glowing and like very glossy looking in this mode, like I guess his energy is just glowing everywhere. Like this is the literally taken from the anime, so I guess someone put it in a game, but it's like it's super glowing. So we're gonna put on in the end like a bunch like not a bunch, but we're gonna seal it with gloss rather than matte. Not that I have any matte stuff that could seal it, but people who do this more often than I do should probably have that. And pretty much any customizer or artist should have matte finish. I just don't have anywhere to buy it around me. I'm just mixing the paint with some water because it feels kind of dry. We want it more liquidy, so it would be easier to brush on, and it wouldn't dry as you brush it, because then it will get a very gloppy and I don't know what's the word, like it'll feel weird. You don't want that, so it's always best to like dilute it a little bit, like not enough, like not as much as a black wash, but just so it would be so much easier to paint. See how fast everything is coated because it's more liquid right now. So yeah, that's a good thing. This would take a while, and you're gonna want to alternate the pieces because you don't want your hands to get too messy, because then when you're gonna touch things, they're gonna be painted black, and you don't want that, because when you're doing the next color you don't want the black to be on top of that. So that happened to me a few times, so I'm just being careful. Yeah, let's hope it takes the paint and not just does it, because some plastic don't. You can always remove the paint with some alcohol and then maybe put some primer on it. I wouldn't use spray paint on this because it wouldn't work. Usually on these types of plastic, or on most plastics actually, spray paint doesn't work very well. You definitely need a primer to do it, but then again, that's layers of paint, that's thickness that you don't want in this thing, right? Because you want to see some of the sculpting, because I mean I did remove a lot of the details, but I still maintained like the curves in the fabric. Like I cut around those, cut in shape so it would stay. Or whatever. Yeah, so do that, and when you're done you're gonna go onto the yellow, and we'll get to that when we'll get to that. So I'm back with painting. I kind of forgot again what I was doing, and I started painting the yellow. Anyway, I'm done painting the black. I already did the clear gloss coat on the pants, but not on the body, since the body would need more yellow details. The circle on the abdomen and those little forgot what they're called, those shapes, very common in Asian, mostly Chinese mythology. This little 9 looking thing, maybe it's just representing literally the number 9 because the QB, I don't know, but it is a very common shape in the Asian cultures that are known. Yeah, so that will be yellow, and basically what I'm doing, I took this yellow orange-ish yellow and this just lemon yellow that it says, trying to recreate this glowing orangish yellow. I think I did something that is good enough. I just mixed it up. Very little of this and a lot of that. And I mean, I don't need to explain how you paint stuff. You basically just, you know, come with a brush and cover it and try to be try make it as smooth as possible. And that's it. So when I'm done doing the legs here, I will need to be repainting those flash parts there because his pants don't go all the way. So that's that. Yeah, so I will update you guys when I'll get there. Oh, by the way, painting the joints won't work if you do this, especially if you get the real one. I suggest just getting some extra joints. I know people are selling them on eBay and some places. Just they're called hobby joints or whatever. They're kind of like the Revoltech joints. You can get them in any color, so I suggest getting black ones and see which ones are the right size, and that's what you do with those. You should do that. Painting them will not go well, even if you do the sealer in the end, it won't work. Yeah. So a little update here. As I was painting the sandals, I realized that this combination is working. I decided to go with the straight yellow, much more accurate, I feel like. I don't know about the quality of the paint though, because it's kind of gloppy, and even watering down won't be as nice, and it'll take a few coats to make it look nice. As you can see, the legs, the top part of the sandals, they don't look that good, and I understand here above it looks a little sloppy, but I'll paint it with flash color later. Yeah, so I'll update you guys about how it goes. Okay, so now that we're done doing the legs, at least the yellow parts, again, it's not the best work ever, but this is just me showing you how to do it. So I'm sure you can do a better job at it yourselves, especially because I have some motoric issues. I actually had to go to like a special physical therapist as a kid because I couldn't write correctly or tie my shoes or do basic things. I could do them, just not correctly. Anyway, next thing you do is the ring, the on his abdomen, and then the 9 things on his chest. So what I've done here is to just took some masking tape, I coined the circular, made sure it fits inside the abdomen, as proportional to our pictures. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a circle, I'm gonna cut it out, then I'm gonna draw an inner circle. So basically, wait, no, that's wrong. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw 2 circles to make it like a ring, and then I'm gonna cut the outside of the ring. So this part where all the black, that will be cut out. That will not be there. So you basically will have a template. You just have to paint inside the yellow, and then you take it off and it looks like a ring. Hope you understood what I'm saying. Like, this part is non-existent, then this is the masking tape, then again that's the masking tape. So here you'll paint the yellow ring approximately. I kind of screwed up with this, so I'm gonna continue and we're gonna check out what it's like later. It's just showing up technique again, as you could see here. 2 circles of masking tape, a ring in the middle, and I'm painting in the middle yellow, and then it's gonna be should be clean enough. Oh, sorry about that, but yeah, it should be clean enough for it to be a nice ring. Yeah. Alright, so let's talk about this ring. So I didn't do this completely right. I should have gone a little flatter with his belly. I just tried to leave a few of the folds in the fabric looking thing, just because he has them. And all the drawings, all that he has folds like it is fabric. But because of that, when I did the template on, it wasn't even, so you can see it bled a little bit, but it's fine. It's a learning experience, and it's more for you guys than for me, because this is more of a tutorial thing. I can fix it later if I want to. Yeah. So that is that. Now all I need is to draw or paint the 9 nines on there, put them together, and then I'll need to work on the head. So that would be that. I'm done for today. It took me way longer than I'd expected, because I had to do so much cleanup work, and because I did a lot. This took me a long time because never mind. Point is, doing things is very annoying and time consuming. This took me longer than half a day. Yeah. And I mean, that's like almost consecutive work. Not completely, but almost. So I'm gonna continue it on a different day, and I'll definitely film it too, so you can see. Yeah. Okay, so I decided to redo the yellow on the Naruto. So what I've done is basically paint white before the yellow, and then I would need less layers and it would still be bright, so it's better than yellow on black basically. I hope this would work. I'm thinking maybe my ring here is too big, so I might not do this size, but yeah, but this is still the way I'm going to paint it. So I hope you didn't do anything just yet from like what I've done. Just watch the entire video before you start actually doing things. That should probably be better for you, honestly. So yeah. Okay, so another update. I've done all the yellow parts, even the little 9 things here. Don't really like how they came out, but there's no real way to do it other than freehand it. So that's all I could. Someone with better motoric skills than I would do it better. But all the yellow parts are done in the same manner. First, a layer or 2 thin layers of thin down white paint, just so it would be easy for just a layer or 2 of the yellow paint, again thin layers, and it looks good. So that's good thing. So all I have left to do right now is the head. I need to change it to B, and I'll show how to make this later. Okay, so painting the face is where we're at. So as you can see, I already painted the eyes yellow. I removed the red of I removed the red of the sage mode for comparison. And now what I have to do is to paint the black lines. I'm not gonna do it on camera, but I'm gonna show you an example. So basically what you're gonna do is use what I'm gonna use is this knife here. I'm gonna get just a very little black on it and just slightly mark it. Or you could also use a toothpick that you will shave very thinly, thinner than this, mind you, and it's better if it's not round, right? If it's just a strip, not a round pokey thing. So you could just do the lines like a plus. Yeah, so that's that. Just to show that I know what I'm talking about, this looks fine, right? Just need to do a plus sign here and on the other side too, and maybe a very small speck of like white paint to make it look like it's glistening to light, and yeah, it should be good. Okay, so now that we are basically done with the whole body, it's done. We need to change the head. Now you already saw me painting the face. I did all the faces. Right? And now we need to take this head and make it into Sage of 6 path mode. So basically what we need to do is change the hair to look like it's windswept, like it's going upwards like Super Saiyan, for example. And we need to paint the headband. Yeah, so I've already done that actually, so yeah, I removed this piece because it needs to be upside. Excuse me. I'm sorry for that. Excuse me. There, that was a sneeze, and I couldn't stop the video. But whatever. We'll survive. Anyway, so basically, let me just hang on. Pour it in the face. Trying to do it one-handed. Alright, so here, with the head, without the hair. So basically how you get to this point, if I will focus, just take a mug or a cup or something, fill it with hot water. Doesn't have to be boiling water, just hot water to warm up the plastic and melt away the glue that's holding it, or at least weaken the glue. So the head is, well, including the face, there are 4 pieces. So there's the middle part of the hair. I mean, the middle part is like the bottom part of the hair, and on top of that there is like the, I guess, hair that comes from the cranium, I don't know, or the top of the scalp, whatever. So what you do is you dip it in hot water and you take a very thin flat screwdriver, or even I don't really think you should use an X-Acto blade because that could cut and you don't want to make cuts. I mean, you could, I guess you could discard the hair and sculpt a new one from polymer clay. I have here yellow polymer clay. I'm gonna try see how this works, but I'm not sure, which is why I'm thinking also on maybe from here turning this upside down and making some cuts to make it look like it's like the bangs are going upwards, and you know, basically have it in the same orientation that it was. It should work because there's like a key shape to here. I cut off a little piece there because it didn't. I thought this would be a good idea, especially if you're gonna do the clay thing. Yeah. So we'll get to there. So the way you paint it is exactly the same how you paint these, so that shouldn't be a problem. Just a layer or two of white paint, and on top of that yellow paint. And the problem is with the bootleg is that the Konoha leaf mark is just painted on, it's not sculpted in, or at least if it was, it just, you know, because they made so many copies of it, it became smooth, right? Because they changed some stuff when they made the bootlegs. Well, pretty much all the joints they changed. But some of the sculpting usually goes a little smoother. Now with this one, most of it, it's very crisp and, you know, nice looking. Nothing looks too big. Of course, they downsized the figure itself, so these caps don't really fit in properly. And of course, the difference that this torso is like cast plastic and not just 2 pieces on top, you know, 2 pieces like sandwiching the mechanics of the joint system that's in there, like most SH figures. For example, this body coon, you know, there's a very clear seam line over here, and inside you can see it's just collapsed over the internal engineering, which should make it how it works. This doesn't have any internal engineering. It's just ball pegs, pretty much like a Figma. Yeah. So that I actually kind of really like how all the faces came out. I think I did a good job on that, and I'm just gonna reiterate how to do the pupils themselves. You should take either this or a needle. For this face, I did use the X-Acto blade, but for the other faces, I used a very small needle, and a little bit of black paint and there. And also, of course, the whiskers things, they're thicker when it's in this mode, so you should paint them to be. So I think it's a little smudgy on this face one I'm holding. This face I think really went the best way. But yeah. So when I come back, we'll work on the hair. Okay, so we are working on trying to sculpt the hair. So I have here a ball of yellow polymer clay. Basically, what you want to do first is make sure you wash your hands and whatever surface you're working on, because polymer clay really takes dirt when you're working on it, and I didn't know it when I first tried sculpting stuff, and whenever I go back to it, I just forget again, and it just keeps collecting just dirt, like small hairs and dust and whatever. When you're working on it, it changes the color, it screws up with everything, and I mean, it's fine if you're gonna paint it, but there's a reason why I chose this yellow clay, so I wouldn't have to. You can see I added here, well, actually you can see on camera, wow. You can't see it on camera, but it is very clear IRL. I did add some orange wash there. Oh, you can't even see the leaf mark that I did. I was talking about it in the previous section, but whatever. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start just making sure like it has a head, completing its shape, and we're gonna work on adding spikes onto it. So what I did is do this shape, and then I'm going to just reduce the amount of clay on it, make the shape again, just I'm gonna bake it, and then we're gonna come back after, and I'm gonna add spikes on top of it. So you just need to make sure it stays in shape, right? You do the shape here, like it doesn't have to be in shape, but it has to be small enough so you can add on the spikes of the hair and it doesn't look too weird, but deep enough to actually fit on to this thing, this like rectangular thing. You can't cut it down because I tried to shave a little bit what I could, but you can't, because that's where the ball joint fits, and if you cut this down, well, you can't fit it on the head. There's just a hole there. You could probably, if you do it right with the clay and keep the joint in or whatever, but I'm lazy and I don't want to do extra work. So what I'm gonna do is do like a little headpiece here, and then I'm gonna sculpt the spikes onto that, and we'll come back when this is a little hardened. just hope it just make sure it stays in shape. And I lied. I did a trick of like a cooking show, and I prepared it before. Yeah. So I filmed this before, but it didn't came out good. So I'm doing this again. But I'm not gonna sculpt anything now. I'm just gonna show you what to do. Basically, just shape it into like a rectangle or something, like a big piece, not just this small piece that I have just like left over from sculpting all this hair, which I think looks a little weird, but it looks good. It looks fine. It looks like how it's supposed to do. You have the bangs that goes up instead of down because like they look windswept, and the spikes, and then you should add this here like this way, and there you have the head that you need. I really like how the eyes came out on me. I mean, that came better than last time, and I'm really surprised how well it came out because I didn't really do a lot. I just did the yellow and the pupils. I would have erased and painted on completely the white and the eyelashes thing, but the eyelashes are like way too thin for me to do it, and I don't trust myself to do it. Yeah, you can tell like these two are a little different because I had to scrape away and use the rubbing alcohol to remove the sage mode markings, and on top of those orange eyes I added the yellow ones. Anyway, this doesn't look too good in the seam, so I might try to either shave it down then glue it, or I don't know, just maybe cut here this key shape a little deeper so it would fit better. I didn't do it very well. This looks a little pudgy or whatever, but I'm not very experienced in sculpting with polymer clay. I'm not very experienced at sculpting at all, actually. Whatever I did, unless it's a big thing, it's a crap thing. So we have that. This is what we have. This is what I have to be happy with. But you can do better, and I mean, you probably could do better if you have better dexterity than I have. And chances are that you have, because I really had to go to this specialist to, help me do things, with small things. Like, I couldn't write in a way that people understood what's on the paper. So that was a problem. I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't draw. And now, I mean, I draw pretty well, I think. Like for example, I think this is pretty good, right? So, well, my dexterity may be shitty. Yours probably better than mine, so you could sculpt better than I can and make your own figure. So we're gonna get onto an overview later, and I think that will be it for this video. I don't know how long this video will be. I still need to film like an intro, so yeah. I hope you didn't follow to a T every single thing I did. Just watch the entire video before you start is probably a better thing to just do it from the beginning. I should probably say it in the intro to the video that this is a learning process and I haven't done customs in a while. This looks good though. I think the code is a little too big because it fits the real deal one, and this one is a tad smaller. Maybe you should, I mean, you should make your own measurements. And now that I think about it, I haven't shown yet how to do this, or you've probably already seen how, because if I do it later I just add it in before, but whatever, this is a learning process. Yeah, whatever, I'll say what I want to say later. So that's it for this portion. Yeah. Okay, so we're back with this. We're making this now. Well, I'm not making a new code. He already has one. I'm just gonna show you the abouts of how to go about it. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's start. Well, first of all, this code is fitted to be on this guy, so it's slightly too big on him because the bootleg is downscaled, as you can see, by quite a large margin actually. You can see how much shorter he is. It's not supposed to be that way. I don't think that the second one they made was shorter than the original. Maybe a little bit, but not this much. Because they did have basically a brand new sculpt to it. Anyway, yeah. So what you first want to do, of course, is have yellow fabric. If it's an old shirt or just fabric you bought in the hobby shop. My hobby shop doesn't have fabric, it has felt, and that's not a good material. It's too thick, it's too fraying, I guess. Well, you know the difference between a t-shirt and a piece of felt. Kind of like one of those things you use to clean dishes with. Whatever. Like a scotch or however it's called. Anyway, so what we do is actually, sorry, because I need to hold the camera on the phone actually while I'm doing this, because I mean, how else will I do it? I don't have. Sorry about that. I had a little disturbance in the force. Anyway, what you do here is you take measurements. Now, if you're an actual, since stare and stress seems to be like genderly biased, but let's go with seamstress. Even males are seamstresses, is whatever. Basically, if you know how to make shirts, you'd probably want to measure this guy correctly with like a measuring tape or something, but I'm not gonna do that because I am an idiot, I suppose. First of all, let's take this off because it makes him not being flat on the paper. Whatever measurements we're taking right now, of course it's not like legit measurements because we're not gonna be measuring him exactly, although I do know how much like each two squares here is a centimeter, so that way we would know what the measurements are. But what basically are gonna do is the outline of his body, like this. Yeah, just trace his body, right? And you'll have basically a shape that is kind of like, well, kind of like a shirt, like this. Kind of look like this. Not necessarily to scale with what I'm with this guy, although it does kind of seem, no, these are too short. What you are going to want to do is to add a little square for the neck because he has a collar. Of course, not this size. This is just example. You should do it definitely with this guy. Measure out what the neck would be, and but I do recommend doing it on a squared paper because it makes it easier to memorize the sizes and the lengths and whatever. Excuse me, I have a sneeze. That was a bad sneeze. Anyway, from here what you do is enlarge it a little bit because you do want it to be, device is overheating. Anyway, you do want it to be bigger than what you drew it because you want it to comfortably wrap around him, not just be like, because if you do two halves that is exactly the size of his body, it won't cover exactly. It would be basically a size too small, so you're gonna have to add a little bit to all the edges, not this one because this is where his hands goes, but like add here, so all around add a little bit to the parameters of whatever your shape goes. Obviously this is just a stupid example. Again, I need to reiterate, you would need to make it to scale and then enlarge a little bit, because when I started out I did make that mistake a little too often, not making it a little bigger than it's supposed to be. Anyway, there is also another option for those of you who are struggling with sutures but who aren't with sculpting. So of course this guy comes with his Sage Mode Haori thing. Yeah, apparently it's called Nahori. It's Japanese like dressing for, I know they wear it like festivals or whatever. Yeah, it's this kind of thing. There's no collar on it because they don't have those on the Haoris apparently. I guess some do because I think it's the same thing as like the fourth Hokage's code, and he does have a collar, like here. Review him coming up soon, if not already on the channel, because this thing is, again, I was disturbed. So what you would need to do is take this and cut it about halfway. You're obviously gonna need to cut off this peg for the scroll that he has. Just mark around the half here because that's where his waist here. Just get it down to his waist, around where his pants would be, around here where my thumb is would be a good length. Yeah, and then you would need to sculpt the sleeves or on his already existent ones. Of course, it also comes with an already sleeved arm, but that's only the half sleeve, the only on the up to the bicep. You would need to add on to that. So I have a little hard time with sculpting. As you can see from his hair, it's not that well sculpted. Just fell off his head though, for some reason, and I can't put it back here. Like, it doesn't look that good. It looks fine. It looks like it's supposed to, but just other people who are better at sculpting than me have better motorics, I guess. I think I said it a few times for this little tutorial thing that I really suck at this tutorial, by the way, but I also suck at motorics. I had to go to a specialist to get refined on those motorics, like so bad I couldn't tie shoes at like 10 years old. I would wear Velcro way up to my teens. Now I don't even wear shoes that has laces on them because I still don't tie them that well, and I'm 21, so that's kind of problematic. You would also need to sculpt a collar on here because he does have this on the Sage mode thing, on the Sage of Six Path mode, I suppose. Yeah, so this is not going to be my go-to, but it definitely simplifies it from just sculpting a whole new coat from the beginning. You can just add on to this. I'm not sure how you would make it stick. I guess you can glue it always, but well, I'm sure maybe some like types of epoxy or sculpts would stick to it. It is a very weird type of plastic. It's kind of flexible, but also not at the same time. So I'm not sure what type of plastic. I mean, this is probably PVC, but it's not like the same plastic used for his body. I guess it's a little too hard. Anyway, that's it for how to make the code. The code also has signs on them. You know, there's the, I guess it's the Otsutsuki symbol. I'm not sure. It's Hagoromo's symbol, maybe. He has it on his clothes, and even in the flashback, there's the symbol on like the walls of their house. And this keeps falling, and something fell. I'll find it later. Anyway, you can see there's a little patch of yellow paint because I messed up the first time painting the black things, and I need to paint it over that. But yeah, it also makes it better for you to do it because drawing on like straight on the fabric makes it a little harder. But yeah, so what I would suggest you to do for all these nines and this symbols that he has there, take either a toothpick or a needle, something pointy and thin, and dip it in a very little like black paint and draw it as well as you can. Like I obviously tried and didn't completely fail. This was 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, actually. Wow. Yeah. So, that's that for that. So, yeah. I think this is the last thing I have to film for the tutorial, because I finished the figure, obviously, you can tell. I don't know how well I did capturing it on camera, but I did it. I hope this was helpful, really. So this will be an outro, and that's it, I guess. Hello everyone. So this is the outro. I'm doing it a little later because I just realized while editing I forgot to do one. The reason I'm whispering is because there's a lot of people in my home right now, and I try to be somewhat quiet. Anyway, you can see the end result here, and the first, like, this is how we started, this is how we ended. So I hope you learned how to make what we made. Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of how it looks, especially the face. The faces really did come out great. I'm just looking at it and I'm seeing I did something wrong with the left eye. Let's find an example where I didn't do such a heavy mistake, just cause I'm reaching into my bag of faces. So yeah, maybe this one's nice. Just want to show a good example, and not as well. Anyway, I hope you learned what to do, what not to do. There's a lot of stuff I didn't do well in the beginning, so I hope you didn't do it step by step and just watch the whole video before starting to make your own customs. Because this is all just a learning experience and I make mistakes, so you don't. Yeah, that's basically it. One big thing, paint does not stick well to joints, and I have no solution for that. Just buy black joints, I suppose, and yellow for the ankles. They're kind of Revoltech kind of joints. You can find them anywhere on eBay and AliExpress, like they're called Hobie joints. So you can find that and use that, I hope. But anyway, that's been the Naruto Sage of Six Path mode SH Figuarts tutorial, custom tutorial, I guess. Yeah, so thank you all for watching. Yeah, see you guys later.